to the EQ video tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsauer. As always, thank you so much for joining us for another amazing show. Before we get into this week's tip, let's review the goals of EQ video tip. What's on tap for today? We've got a great show, and it's about building emotional intelligence to supercharge your success. And the article is written by Marla Arnall, who talks about a great event on building emotional intelligence. And this event brought in leaders from different aspects of Amazon and other places to figure out how can you use EQ to supercharge your success. There's some great tips in it. We're going to summarize a few of the things from this great seminar that happened just recently. I hope you enjoy it. Tip number 1, empathy. Now, empathy is core to emotional intelligence, but believe it or not, only 30% of it is genetic, and 70% of it you actually develop on your own. Hard to believe, but we have an advantage when it comes to that because you can learn and be curious to figure this out. One of the most important things you can do when you're trying to cultivate empathy is use your imagination and your curiosity. When something starts happening and you're not sure about it, instead of making or jumping to a conclusion, say to yourself, I wonder why, or I wonder if. Those words are very important, putting yourself into someone else's shoes so you can understand and identify what they're going through and understand the context of it as well. It'll help build your empathy as well as understanding and tapping into other people's human and emotional experiences. So as you're trying to grow your overall IQ, think about empathy, think about how you can do it, and wonder why certain things are happening a certain way. Tip number 2, the most powerful thing you can do to manage stress is to recognize your own emotional state. That's a great sentence right there. But in fact, we have to recognize it on a few different levels. On the macro, micro, and meso level. Meso being in between. When you think about it on the micro level, every day you need to make sure you're able to work at full capacity. But you can only work at full capacity for about 60 to 90 minutes. After that, you need to take a break. And it's important to take breaks and have a recovery plan, which might be taking a walk, meditating, moving your body around, you name it. But whatever it is, practice that, practice mindfulness. On the meso level or the middle level, every week we have to rest and recover our bodies as well. That might mean weekends or nights doing something that's good for your brain, that's away from work, whatever it might be. And on the macro level, vacation time. We all love that. But we have to think every month at least half a day to unplug, rest, and rejuvenate our minds and bodies. When doing that, we will be able to manage that powerful emotional state that gets us to the ultimate goal of optimizing our minds and optimizing our bodies. So take a moment to manage and recognize your emotional state. Our last tip, tip number 3, and this is a great one. The best way to support a colleague who might be facing a mental health challenge is to follow a 5-step framework. Pretty simple, but something that we sometimes forget to do. The first thing is observe. And when you notice someone going through a tough time, observe it. You can say something like, I noticed you haven't been participating in meetings, or I noticed you've been coming to work late, or I noticed that you seem like you're upset all the time. Then ask a question like, what's going on with you right now? Or what have things been like for you lately? So observe, then ask. Then the next thing is listen. We love listening. So listen to them. Don't bet on anything that you think you know what's going on. Just listen, lean in, and be supportive as to what they're saying. The fourth thing is acknowledge. Acknowledge the experience, and it sounds like it's challenging for you. It's tough. I understand you're going through a tough time. It means a lot that you're opening up to me. So make sure number 4 is acknowledge. And then finally, discuss options. Don't try to give them a solution, but give them options. Don't diagnose a situation for them, but try to help them work through it. What worked in the past? What might help you now? What are some of the things that you're trying to do to overcome this obstacle? Make sure you're also giving them mental health resources as well. But don't try to solve their problem for them. Help them work through it. Hopefully this 5-step framework will help you when you're helping a colleague or a friend with a mental health challenge. That concludes this week's EQ video tip. We hope you liked it. These were great tips. The whole seminar itself was amazing. If you have a chance, make sure you go out and watch it as well. Thanks again for watching. Here's a quick review of the tips on this week's show. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ video tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.